Good evening. Would you please take a moment and silence your cell phones? And please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We had a very nice Veterans Day event yesterday at the VA, and the city of Asheville was the provider of lunch, and some of our folks here even helped serve lunch. It's one of Brad's secret, unknown, yet unknown strengths. And Deborah manned the vegan dogs, or tofu dogs. Staffed. And shockingly, there were some left over.
Hey, half of your council is vegan, vegetarian.
I'm just saying
here.
that she did her best to give them all away. So, all right. So we have a relatively short agenda tonight. We have no proclamations for this evening. However, I know there's one proclamation that is very much of interest to lots and lots of folks, and that is, actually, the climate emergency resolution, which will not come under proclamations. It will come under resolutions. And it is scheduled to come before this council at the next council meeting on the 26th. And it's my understanding that SACE and the Sunrise Movement are finalizing the language for the resolution. So thanks to everyone who's been involved in that process, and we look forward to that resolution coming before this council at the next meeting. Okay, consent agenda. Anyone have any questions, comments, or a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
I make a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
Second. All right, is there anyone wishing to comment on the motion to adopt the consent agenda? All right. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Tonight, under presentations and reports, we have the manager's report, and I will turn it over to our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. This will be just a quick update on the 2020 census coordination, and we're going to have Todd Okoltany, who's going to give us an update on an extremely important process that we do every 10 years. So I will turn it over to Todd, and thank you.
Thank you, and good evening. When I first walked in here, I wasn't sure if I was in the right spot. I've never seen the council chamber so empty. But as Deborah mentioned, this is a really important item. 2020 census, decennial census, happens every 10 years. And it's really important because the more we can increase turnout and participation in the census really determines federal funding for a lot of our local programs. And it helps decision makers with data and information to help inform their decisions. As a planner, we use census data all the time, and we're constantly striving to see how we can increase participation because it makes our analysis that much more meaningful. In terms of the process, we've been meeting several months now with the county and other local agencies and organizations throughout the region, mainly to form what's called a complete count committee, and I'll get into that a little bit later in some of the later slides. But in terms of process, 2020 census, the work is already underway to try to hire census workers who will knock on doors and help increase participation. The complete count committee has a lot of volunteers that are helping to increase participation. But the actual census doesn't really happen until March of 2020 when postal mailings are distributed to all households. Census Day is officially in April of 2020, and then throughout the summertime next year, census counters will start knocking on doors for folks that don't return what they receive in the mail. One of the big changes that's occurred this year and as part of the 2020 census is that they've added an online component for folks to participate. It's also a much shorter version. It's only 10 to 15 questions. The census, if you recall, used to be a much longer version, a lot of questions, and that didn't really help with participation, as folks didn't want to sit there answering an hour's worth long of questions. So it's a very short number of questions. You can submit online. It's supposedly safe and secure. I think it's also important to note that that information is held, it's private, it's held in privacy for I think 70 or 72 years or something like that. That even like the FBI and CIA supposedly don't have access to that information. It's supposedly tight and under wraps. And then also federal government they don't communicate information they receive with other organizations. So organizations like ICE, for example, won't be calling the U.S. Census Bureau and asking for that information. By law, they're not allowed to. The U.S. Census will never call or email you. Only in-person census employees will have official identification. And as I mentioned, folks will start knocking on doors in the summertime for folks that don't submit their forms that they receive in the mail. One of the goals that we have for the 2020 census is to increase participation. It's a goal every time the census happens. To give you an example, in Buncombe County back in 2000, there was a participation rate of 72%, and that was increased by several percentage points in 2010. The census has actually set a goal for our region of 80%. So I inquired, like, where do these numbers come from? And it's basically set by the U.S. Census as a goal, and I think we could reach that goal if we're intentional about it. What's at stake? The biggest thing is the more participation we get, the better potential we get for federal funding. So as an example, each uncounted resident in Buncombe County is a loss of $1,600 in federal funding per person per year. To put that into perspective, a 1% increase in participation could equal $4 million annually and up to $40 million over 10 years. So it's really important that for every percentage point, every increase really impacts our federal spending on multiple programs. Also, from a political perspective, it's anticipated we'll get one new U.S. representative, and possibly if our participation and population increases is high enough, we could potentially get up to 2 new U.S. representatives as part of the census. As I mentioned before, the formation of a complete count committee is kind of one of the hallmarks of what we're doing as a city and the county in participating. We formed a committee, a very large committee that's very representative of different organizations, such as city, other local governments, schools, anchor institutions, nonprofit community, faith community, and businesses. Folks that aren't part of what we call the Complete Count Committee, many of them are on what's called a subcommittee of the Complete Count Committee, and that gives us a chance to kind of delve deeper and further reach the community. We have a number of subcommittees that focus on community organizations, faith-based organizations, businesses, schools. There's a recruiting subcommittee, rural, and media. And as I mentioned, there's a very large representation. I think when you add all the people that are part of this, we probably have over 100 different people representing every organization you can think of within the region. In terms of kind of the completed and next near-term steps, we have undergone some census training with the Complete Count Committee over the last couple of months. There have been a number of opportunities in the area to kind of raise awareness to hire census workers. We had some recent recruiting efforts at the Birch Street Agricultural Fair and East End Valley Street Neighborhood Festival. And we're holding a lot of different events. There was a recent event, I believe on November 6th, where it was an event for Latinx community partnerships and trying to see how we can increase participation in the Latinx community. So we have a lot of these events going on. I'd say one of our most critical items right now is to try to continue to hire census takers. In the county alone, they're looking to hire approximately 2,250 census takers. The pay rate is $14 an hour for those jobs. Other jobs within the census office, I think, range from $12 to $14 an hour, and some jobs pay as high as $20 to $25 an hour, depending upon the position. But it's at least $14 for the census takers for Buncombe County. And what I'm asking, staff is asking you tonight, is to adopt a resolution authorizing a partnership with the federal U.S. Census Bureau and the county and our partner organizations within the region to continue to increase our awareness and partnership in the 2020 census. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
And that concludes my report, but I just would emphasize again the job opportunities and the outreach that is needed within the community, and I hope that not only city, but also all nonprofits, whomever, will help us try to get these positions filled. We've heard the importance of this process and what it means to our community overall. So having, I think, the number of employees that are needed to do the follow-up for those who don't respond is vitally important. So thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
And I assume we're working with the workforce development groups in our community that we do have. We don't have a lot, but we have some. So
Absolutely.
Okay.
Workforce development, just economics, our own Rosanna from our minority business program here. We're trying to reach out to all those organizations and to try to get the word out.
great.
So we have a resolution that looks like it needs a vote under this item. So do I have a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing the 2020 Census Partnership?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. I guess we could take public comment on this one, even though it's under reports. Was there anyone wishing to comment on the motion to adopt the resolution authorizing the 2020 Census Partnership? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. Those are the presentations for this evening. There are no public hearings. We have no items under unfinished business. We have under new business, boards and commissions, and I will turn it over to the Vice Mayor.
Thank you. We have one opening for the Alcohol Beverage Control Board, and the Boards and Commissions Committee recommends the reappointment of Jan Davis, who currently serves as the chair of the ABC Board. That's a motion.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. For Crime Stoppers, Asheville Buncombe, the Boards and Commissions Committee recommends the appointment of Alvin Molesky and Travis Smith.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Historic Resources Commission, the Boards and Commissions Committee recommends the appointment of Will Hornaday.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The Homeless Initiative Advisory Committee, the Boards and Commissions Committee recommends the reappointment of David Nash and Randy Stout.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And for the Soil Erosion and Stormwater Review Committee, there are two openings, and the Boards and Commissions recommends the reappointment of Pete Hildebrand and Catherine Roseford.
Second.
I thought one of them was not, I thought Pete was not eligible.
Since the board hadn't met,
Okay.
we usually give them at least an opportunity to stay on to the board.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our printed agenda. If there's anyone wishing to make public comment, now is your opportunity. Please just raise your hand. You'll state your name and you'll have 3 minutes. Is there anyone wishing to make public comment? Okay, if not, we do have a closed session this evening, and I will, what, are you opposing it?
No,
With your grimace? We do. Okay.
I move the Asheville City Council go into closed session for the following reasons: to prevent disclosure of information that is privileged and confidential pursuant to the laws of North Carolina, or not considered public record within the meaning of Chapter 132 of the General Statutes. The statutory authorization is contained in North Carolina General Statute 143-318-11A1, the law that makes information privileged and confidential in North Carolina General Statute 143-318-10E. To consult with an attorney employed by the city about an administrative procedure to the handling of a claim with respect to which the attorney-client privilege between the city and its attorney must be preserved. The statutory authorization is contained in North Carolina General Statute 143-318-11A3.
All right.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We will adjourn from the closed session. Thank you.